Recently, I've been watching a series of videos by Quinn's Ideas analyzing the Three Body Problem series of books by Lucy Sheen, and I find that these books present a very interesting and horrifying interpretation of the universe, particularly of the Fermi paradox. For those of you who are unfamiliar, the Fermi paradox is the idea that if the universe is filled with planets and stars and situations similar to that of Earth, then why haven't we encountered extraterrestrials yet? Now, if you haven't already, I'd definitely check out Quinn's videos on the topic, because he goes into very, very deep detail and analysis of these books. And in general, you should subscribe to Quinn's Ideas. He makes amazing content, especially on sci-fi and fantasy. But in summation, the reason we haven't discovered life in the universe yet is because other alien civilizations, they don't want to be found. They're afraid. Because civilizations grow and grow, and then they escape their planet, expanding outward into the universe, conquering underdeveloped civilizations and annihilating the species and taking all the natural resources for themselves, and then moving on to another planet, and then another, and then another. The universe is a proverbial dark forest filled with hunters being forced to kill or be killed. Now, being aware of this fact, imagine, if you will, that one day you awake and out of the clear blue sky an enormous alien spacecraft arrives. Its mere presence awe-inspiring and frightening in its scale and complexity, out of which float down creatures your wildest dreams couldn't conjure up, dressed in the garb of some of your favorite heroes, arriving to take over your planet and annihilate your species. The military can't stop them. The President of the United States is dead. Other world governments are scrambling to figure out what to do about this growing threat. A giant crater has been punched into a Southern Californian city. People are scared, and the future seems bleak. But then, also seemingly out of nowhere, a hero steps forth against the growing extraterrestrial menace, a shining beacon of hope in the darkness of total annihilation and despair, a man whose Herculean courage rivals that of any superhero you could think of, a man who has defeated hundreds of stronger foes, rose to the top, and just walked away, a man who loves anime and wrestling, indie Japanese films, sleeps with a dakimakura, collects anime figures, who is part of both a real and fake assassination organization, killed and harmed senselessly for a title that he had to constantly fight to keep, a man who left his wife and kids and exiled himself to a beat-up camper somewhere in Texas, a man whose brother watched the movie Thor once and was so moved that he decided to join a cult and devote his life to killing him, a man that represents the greatest qualities of the human race and the greatest strength and efforts we have against this terrifying new threat. A hero, a true legend if ever there was one. And with his armor of tiger-printed red leather and his blazing beam katana, this man, Travis Touchdown, is going to make these alien wish they phoned home.
Bring it on! I'll give you a little kiss.
No More Heroes 3, I've ruminated on it for quite a while, folks, but for some reason, I can't pin down exactly what No More Heroes 3 is about. I mean, the plot is fairly clear. I mean, it's Travis against a bunch of aliens. But, I mean, the message, the core, the subtext, what is it trying to convey to me? All the other No More Heroes games have some deeper layer of subtext and deeper meaning to them, but No More Heroes 3, I can't put my finger on it. I mean, I enjoyed the game. I found it very fun and charming, but in terms of deeper analysis, I'm not entirely sure. But, you know, here's a try. No More Heroes 3 is about heroism. It's about a formerly selfish, sadistic, bloodthirsty, loveless otaku discovering a higher purpose for himself. No longer is he a cog in the unending murder machine of the UAA, but a man who has risen to a higher calling. Throughout No More Heroes 1, Travis struggles to understand why he's killing these assassins. His reasoning goes from funding his weird otaku lifestyle, to avenging his master, to then becoming very disillusioned with the whole situation, only to grasp at the only reason he can think of when it presents itself: finding Jean and killing her to avenge his parents. In No More Heroes 2, Bishop is killed at the beginning of the game, giving Travis cause to join these rankings again in order to avenge him, only for Travis to eventually want to dismantle the entirety of the UAA. He wants to destroy the system that perpetuates the violence that he actively took part of before in order to protect the people that he truly cares about. In Travis Strikes Again, he prevents the government from gaining access to technology that would create super soldiers, and thus cause major problems around the world and disrespect for the wishes of a war orphan that originally created the machine that just wanted to use it to play video games. Well, it's a little bit deeper than that. But the point is, Travis has struggled with the image of being a hero before. He didn't really want it to begin with, but now he's finally found a purpose. He's finally had the ability to be the hero of his own standards. He's going to protect the Earth because he, well, one moment. I think I've gone a little off track here. Let me start over. No More Heroes 3 is about freedom from suffering. Yes, Travis has suffered quite a bit throughout his life. I mean, his half-sister / ex-girlfriend killed his parents. His twin brother wants to kill him. He lives in abject poverty. He's killed lots of people for no reason other than title, money, and merely because they stood in his way. He's not the most pleasant person you'd ever meet either, especially in the first game. There's always an undercurrent of rage within him, and anger at his predicament. He's numb, but also full of anger throughout all these games. He's very disinterested in the glory that he thought he could once have. Instead, he's stuck in a perpetual cycle of suffering. Throughout this series, the word paradise gets thrown around a lot. Travis at first thinks that having the glory of being the #1 ranked assassin is a paradise, only to discover that it is in fact a facade. You don't truly find paradise through killing people. You are trapped in a cycle of perpetual death and fighting for your own life. Additionally, somewhat related, the city of Santa Destroy continuously gets remodeled, renovated, redeveloped, updated, made to look pristine, when in reality it's the same dirty city filled with killers and crime just as before. It's a facade. Luxury and status throughout the series are depicted as being very hollow things, momentary bliss, honey smeared on a knife's edge. You can lick it and it tastes good, but it hurts you in the end. I think Travis realizes this and has grown disdainful for those that seek that kind of life, even if he did himself for a time seek something of that nature. I think that in fighting these aliens, Travis finds an opportunity to give his life purpose by destroying a former version of himself. In many ways, Fu represents an older version of himself, a very cocky, stuck-up kid of a person that only wants to get what he wants. He wants glory in some respect. But now Travis knows where his priorities truly lie, and that's Where was I going with this? Let me try again. No More Heroes 3 is about nonsense. No. No More Heroes 3 is about sushi. No. What am I talking about? No More Heroes 3 is about violence, aliens, superheroes, great music, a last hurrah to keep your own existence, Santa Destroy, Jeans bikes, the color Go-Cola, the silver development of Shadows of the Damned Planet, video anime, dying Otaku, skill tree, how crazy blondes are, why Henry doesn't have an Irish accent, Chris Hemsworth, Marvel GBK film, Rocky find In Alejandro Jodorowsky's film El Topo, a man, referred to as El Topo, kills 4 gunmasters to become the greatest gunmaster of them all. Having completed his task, he is betrayed by the guide that helped him to find these gunmasters in the first place, shooting him and leaving him for dead. El Topo awakens many years later in a cave being protected by a group of people with various disabilities and deformities. People of the cave long to escape but cannot, given their conditions, and the only exit is at the top of the cave. El Topo decides to help the people, going into a local town to raise some money to buy some dynamite and blast them free. When he eventually completes this task, the people all flood out, finally free from the confinement of these dark caves, only to be gunned down by the townsfolk below. Furious at this, El Topo goes on a massacre, killing all of the townsfolk. Having been shot himself, El Topo decides to drench himself in oil and set himself on fire. While he and everyone else is dead, his son, who turned out to be the priest of the town, and one of the survivors of the cave, ride off as the charred corpse of El Topo is covered in honeycombs and bees. One of the most interesting things about this film to me is this monologue.
The mole is an animal that digs tunnels under the ground, searching for the sun. Sometimes his journey brings him to the surface. When he sees the sun, he is blinded.
It's no mistake that the main character's name means the mole in Spanish. He's a man that, through most of the film, wallows in despair, filth, vice, and violence. When he finally finds a greater purpose, a chance to serve a community of people, of those that are in dire need, he, as well as the people around him, are ruthlessly killed. However, his legacy lives on in his son, who dons the same clothing that he did, and the woman that he helped escape, who he was very much in love with. Instead of choosing stagnation and death, El Topo chooses a form of generativity, choosing to aid those, to become a mentor, and to become larger than himself, to aid a community. I don't find it that surprising that Suda51 drew a lot of influence from El Topo when creating No More Heroes, particularly the earlier portions of the film influenced the first game. However, I find that the latter portions, in some respect, had an influence on some of his other games, including No More Heroes 3. You see, No More Heroes 3 is really about generativity. Suda has stated in the No More Heroes art books, of which I only own the first one, that a lot of the No More Heroes games are based on the developmental psychologist Erik Erikson's 8 stages of psychosocial development. While it's up for debate what stage of development No More Heroes 3 represents, I'm firmly of the belief that it fits very nicely into stage 7. Generativity versus stagnation. Generativity is the idea of making your mark on the world. It's all about nurturing and creating things that will outlast yourself, that could take the form of being a mentor, a friend, or even a parent, sharing your knowledge and being aware of and caring for others. Generativity is fostering an atmosphere of inclusion, of understanding others, and encouraging them to lead themselves. Instead of being absorbed in your own needs and desires, you focus on the needs and desires of others. And in that aspect, No More Heroes 3 shines.
Protecting this town is the duty of the people living here, and I accepted their challenge. If, and this is a big if, but if I were to get killed, please finish this for me.
I will. Travis, touchdown.
Travis started out being a lone wolf, or a tiger, if you will. He's alone. He fights alone. He lives alone. He gets mad at others when they steal his kills or get in his way. But in No More Heroes 3, he's not alone, but rather surrounded by a rather diverse group of characters, from the wrestler/superhero Notorious to Kamui and his girlfriend Midori Kawa. I find it funny that before the game came out, a lot of people speculated that Travis was actually secretly racist, when he has this really diverse friend group. I mean, heck, he even wears a hoodie that says "Fuck racism" on it. How else can you explain that? Well, in No More Heroes 1, he was rather sexist and condescending towards female assassins. Now, he has two of them living with him. Shinobu and Charlotte, aka Bad Girl, went from being really deep-seated enemies to very close allies and even mentees of Travis. Moreover, Travis has kids, which he's constantly asking Sylvia about, despite her telling him nothing about them.
Sylvia? Is it really you? How are the kids?
All of these people ultimately come to Travis's aid at the end and are there for him, just like he is there for them, either by checking up on them or giving them anime recommendations after they've discovered that their father has died. I find that Fu in all of this is the perfect foil to Travis. He has friends, but they're very disposable to him. He treats them like friends, but in the end, it's only for show. He sends them off to die, or even kills them himself. They're just a means to an end. I find it interesting that a lot of people were vocal about the fact that we didn't get the chance to meet a bunch of these cool alien villains because they were either killed off by other characters or killed off by Fu. And in a way, it speaks to that desire to get to know these characters, and how, to Fu, he doesn't really care. The chickens really come home to roost when Damon, Fu's oldest friend, turns out to just be using him as well and kills him without a thought. When Damon is defeated by Travis, he desperately doesn't want to die. This shows that Damon has, in some respect, embraced stagnation. His legacy will not live on. He has no one to remember him by because all his friends were only instrumental in his revenge story against Travis for merely punching him in Travis Strikes Again. Even Travis says once Damon fades away,
I've still got somewhere to go home to. But you don't!
I liked many things about No More Heroes 3. I liked the advanced combat mechanics, the music, the aesthetics, the general wackiness of it all. But above all, I liked this. A man whose life was filled with rage and blood and sadness still has people that love him, or at least grown to love him. Sure, Travis isn't a great person. He's done some pretty messed up stuff. But, like El Topo, he's wallowed in filth and garbage and violence all his life. And finally, in No More Heroes 3, he has reached the sun and has become a hero. While El Topo may be blinded, Travis basks in it. He's still an inspiration to those around him, and now his legacy will live on. I suppose you could say, and I'm sorry for saying this, but the true No More Heroes are the friends we made along the way. Thanks for watching.